My name is Mike Stepanov. I'm the business development manager here at NSYS Group. And with us today, we have David Flood from our lovely customers, TekEir. Hi, David.
How you doing?
Yeah. What we're going to discuss today is the topic of e-waste reduction, scaling up your sustainable business, and we're going to be looking forward to TekEir sharing with us their experience and expertise on that topic. Couple of words about NSYS Group. We are a software development company operating in this market since 2017, and since this year we also launched our hardware solution, the Reeva robot, which embodies all of the solutions that we've built before that, right? For the diagnostics, automated grading, secure data erasure, buyback price evaluation, inventory management. So we provide and will aim at providing you guys and enhancing our solutions in the new year as well. David, a couple of words about TekEir, maybe?
Yeah, no problems at all. Thanks for having us on. Well, we're going since 2019. We do deal primarily in sustainable and refurbished tech. So, whether it be iPhones, Android phones, laptops, MacBooks. Basically what I do for the company is I'm the repair manager. So any units we get in and we run through your lovely software, know whether there's issues or not with the phone or with the iPad. It's then brought out to me and I assess whether, in the grand scheme of things, especially to do with the circular economy, whether it's worthwhile repairing. Also, I run a front house shop, so I deal a lot with laptops. We have customers coming in saying they want to get a new laptop because they've got X, Y, Z issues with the laptop as it stands. We will give them a full report. Most of the time, it is just repairable. Generally, it's down to just changing hard drives out for SSDs, software updates, taking out a lot of bloatware. So that's basically what I do.
Great. Thanks for the introduction. And to those listening, I also highly recommend checking out the case study that we did with TekEir, I think a couple of months ago, regarding their experience using the software. So highly recommend checking this out in our blog as well. We'll be probably posting a link somewhere, either in the video description or here in the chat. So feel free to check this out. And the topic today, right, as David already mentioned, is circular economy in the tech industry, right? So let's talk actually about extending the device lifespan, right? Because it's a hot topic pretty much this year, as well as before. It was always a hot topic of how we can reduce the carbon footprint and how we can extend the lifespan of devices, right? Because we see that the refurbished market is growing and there is a demand for refurbished devices. So David, maybe you can share your thoughts here on how TekEir addresses that, and maybe your own experience with regards to this topic.
Yeah, well, as I said, one of the roles that I do for the company with the face-to-face customer interactions in the shop would be, laptops. People come in saying that they need to get a new one because it has come to the end of its life. What I find we spend a lot of time doing is educating people. So they think that because the laptop's gotten slow, or even phones have gotten slow, it's because it's run its course and it's of no use anymore and they need to get a new one. With laptops and computers in general, it is a lot easier. It's, software has a big part to play in it. But then you've also got the hardware. So hard drives do have a lifespan, unfortunately, whereas SSDs don't, and SSDs are more efficient. When it comes to phones, it's a little bit trickier. there are a lot of processes you can do. So you have people coming in, back glass is cracked, screen is scratched. Things like this can either be replaced or buffed out. Comes to memory size, that's just about educating people again. They may have 3 or 4 apps performing the one function. Explain to them, no, if you delete, these 2 and just use this one, it has the same feature. Your phone is still good to go for a couple of years. The only time where there's a downside to it is where you have certain parts of certain equipment fail and we cannot, repair them or replace them. It does then damage the unit. Stuff like that, unfortunately, you do have to replace.
Yeah.
But again, I suppose that in a nutshell to answer it, it's just about education, really. Just explain to customers what their unit actually can do and should do.
It's interesting that you mentioned that. I'm curious if you see any discrepancies between the actual lifespan of a device and what customers expect it to see. For example, you can say that their laptop can be used for, let's say, 5-6 years, but they expect just because Apple has released a new computer and they want to change that, they just kind of expect to use it for maybe a couple of years. Do you see any discrepancies there between how long the device can actually serve and how long the customer plans to use it for?
Yeah, I suppose in that respect, if you focus just in on laptops alone, the biggest way to explain to customers is ask them what they're using the device for. So you will have people coming in where they've bought, just say a budget laptop, and all they're doing on it all the time is playing games. They weren't designed for that. The unit, say theoretically have a lifespan of 6 years. If you're going to play games on it, you're immediately halving it because you're constantly thermally throttling the laptop. So the more education we can get out there as to what units can do and what they should do, it's not that you're telling them it doesn't have a lifespan. It's just they're forgetting about it all on their own. Use the laptop as it's designed to be used. Make sure you're using the correct software. Make sure you're getting it serviced. That's a big thing that I've I suppose in the last 2 months been trying to say to people as they're buying refurbished units off us, you need to treat your laptop the same as you treat your car, basically. You're supposed to get it looked at every year and make sure everything is doing what it's supposed to do. It doesn't need any, it doesn't have to get a maintenance. You don't have too much bloatware. As I said, people click on things left, right, and center. There's all sorts of stuff being downloaded. That all affects the machine. So, biggest thing I can say on that subject is just education. People in buying need to start educating people as to what they need to look out for, what they need to use their device for.
Got it. Great. Love it. Let's actually talk about some economic aspects of recycling, right? Some of the benefits, some of the challenges that we can talk about on this topic, right? And obviously the benefits are, of course, there's value in the devices that you can either recycle, or if you can refurbish them, or if you can replace them, basically give them a second life, right? Because you can, if the device still has value, either resell it or dispose of it. And this also gets governmental support. And this is actually an interesting topic. I'm curious, David, did you have any experience here, maybe with some government support or applying to some programs with regards to the e-waste recycling? Do you have any experience there?
Generally here, they're only getting going this year with it. There is information coming out, I think early next year. I don't know the actual date. They have launched their circular economy draft. All right, I do keep an eye on all that kind of stuff. At the moment, in Ireland, they're sticking more to packaging, so they want to try and get that sorted. They have it, their teeth stuck into it at the moment. They're trying to just do away with plastics altogether, which they really should. When it comes to the devices, we do have somewhat of a robust market in the country for it, and there are plenty of companies where you can sell off in bulk devices, and you have data erasure done on them, and then they filter down throughout smaller chains to either be resold, repurposed, or else they are just recycled. It is something we need to do a lot of. It's not just purely for the precious metals. I think it's also a lot of chips on a lot of older devices. Something that is, due to software, not viable to be used anymore. It's not just the metals in the device that need to be taken out of it. It's also all the chips. Now, we've come out of COVID. There's a massive chip shortage. There are smart that chips can be reused. That is something that has been floated around a few times, but no one's fully looked into it yet. And I'd say they might start, because it is a big factor.
Great. Interesting, because we've been also speaking with customers across the world, and obviously different governments have different support programs. But when we're talking about green initiatives, it's likely that the country where you're in has some sort of initiative or offers some sort of like bonuses for companies involved in this sphere. Feel free to share with us, by the way. We have a comment section in this webinar, so please feel free to share your comments, your experience, or any questions that you might have for David or me. And moving forward, let's actually talk about some challenges. And I'm curious, David, like, what are the biggest challenges in terms of implementing circular economy practices? Can you talk a little bit about that?
I suppose it comes with software locks. It's the big ticket thing when it comes to big ticket items. That I say when it comes to the circular economy is parts being paired with devices. It is a massive roadblock. It does need to be done away with. If you like, I suppose there's no way getting around it. Like it is the one everyone knows of. It's Apple have stuff paired with devices. It's their choice. They've designed it. They've made it, but they should make more available to repair third-party repairists. So if someone doesn't want to pay an absolute enormous repair, they should be able to go somewhere else where it's not going to be as cheap as possible, but we do have access to the software to say, right, I've put a legit screen on, you can accept it, where at the moment you can't. That's a massive roadblock. There are structures to do like to repair across Europe. So hopefully there's more coming out of that for the new year. But that will be the single thing that's blocking it, and it's you have that in laptops as well. Comes to, there's a lot of budget laptops out there that have, to make them stylish and small, they've soldered everything onto the motherboards. So you have your SSD is now an actual little chip, and it's soldered onto the board. A lot of people realize when they break it, they actually can't be. Aesthetically, it looks nice. Design-wise, it's a huge flaw, and it goes against everything. So the more they can make it that you can actually change things easier, the better it's going to be.
Got it. Great. Moving forward, actually, we touched on this topic a little bit regarding the public-private partnerships in e-waste recycling, right? Regarding the programs and maybe regarding the support that we can receive from the government. So David touched on this previously. And again, in different countries, we have like different initiatives going for the e-waste recycling topic. David, do you have anything to add here?
I suppose in that, like, as I said, it is a main thing they're trying to do here in Ireland. They're trying to do away with, like, I ordered parts in for a laptop earlier on in the week. Arrived in box well wrapped, but then it was inside another bag. The part was inside another bag and then in bubble wrap. All this is to protect the part. It is an awful lot of packaging for what is effectively a very small part.
Yeah.
It's not needed. That's the big thing that the Irish government are trying to hone in on as their start point for all this, is to cut down on the amount of packaging that's out there, which in fairness, I do 100% agree with. It is, silly. If you were to order even something as benign as a sofa in this country, it's going to come in plastic wrap. Each cushion is going to be in plastic wrap, and it's also going to be in a big cardboard box.
Yeah.
You don't really need all that. Like, it's being hand delivered. It could just be in a plastic bag, just to keep dust off it. So it's, it is just about, just put the minimum on it, but just make sure it's safe. Basically, it's not going to get broke.
Yeah, and I agree with that 100%. Like, you don't really need all that packaging, especially as in the example that you made. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense here. And actually, let's move forward to the next topic, right? The importance of e-waste reduction. Seems pretty obvious, right? With all this excessive packaging and the number of new devices coming into the market, it only makes sense to introduce programs for refurbishment, for recycling, for reuse of gadgets. And from our side, we see that every year the market grows, right? The market, for example, for refurbished devices, we see on the statistics of our customers that the demand is only increasing year over year for newer gadgets, because they have, like, for end users, a more appealing price. Also, a lot of times you get a refurbished device with the same basically warranty as a new device, and sometimes even more, right? We see on the market companies offering even 18-month or 24-month warranty on refurbished devices, and you get this for 30-40% off if you compare that to a new gadget. So it only makes sense to consider the refurbished gadget in this case. David, do you want to maybe share your experience here? Like, what is like TekEir and yours personally, general thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, it is. There has been a shift. As regards bargain wise, yeah, a refurbished device makes much more sense. You do get better warranties. In some cases you can get better support, because it is a growing market and a new market as such. So in that respect, you will get a lot of companies going above and beyond. We do ourselves here. We always want to make sure that the customers they're extremely happy with the product. Packaging wise for it, as I said before, as little as you can, but always make sure that the product is held safe, gets to the customer as you displayed it. But yeah, it is definitely more and more. We've shifted more and more towards refurbished, renewed products. It is what everyone wants.
Yeah. Great. Love it. Let's actually talk about some trends in this industry, and also moving forward to the next year, maybe try to talk a little bit about what we think this industry will undergo and develop into. And actually, I'm curious, David, like, what's your take in regarding the new emerging technologies, like how they can help with improving and enhancing your processes at TekEir?
In that one, it's AI. So, chatbots. Where I use them an awful lot is trying to understand my data from customer interactions. I find it a lot easier to ask the AI to do what probably could take me, a few hours. I give it the information, it spits it out in 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
There's a massive shift in data analytics that way. You also have AI is coming into the recycling and refurbishment areas where they're taking human error out of looking at devices. They're checking specific parts. Look at the whole phone, turn it on, go through all the checks to make sure, whereas you've programs AIs that are programmed to do this in 10-15 minutes. That's going to be the big leap next year. You're going to see a lot of that popping up, and it's only going to help the industry. It's just going to make it easier for the customer to interact with us. They're going to get an answer a lot quicker, and they're going to be a lot happier with it as well. So that's I see it helping massively.
That's great. So it's big in terms of analyzing basically customer interactions, and I guess learning also from the data that you fit it with to provide you also with the data analytics insights and the ways on how you can improve and I guess enhance the processes. Cool. Love it. Also, to add from our side regarding the use of AI and how NSYS solutions play into this, we've introduced to the market this year the Reeva, which is the name of our robot, which, as I mentioned earlier, it embodies all the solutions that we've built starting from 2017, right? So it allows you to automatically test the device for any functionality issues, but it can also help you to visually grade the device, right, using AI algorithms. I often hear one of the pain points from our customer is that when we're grading the phone, right, subjectively, we as humans can grade the same phone differently. Depends on our mood, basically, right? If we're in the good mood, we can grade the phone A, and the next day, if we're in the bad mood, grade the phone as C, right? And the robot helps address this issue by bringing the consistency into the grading process, since it's going to allow you to have similar conditions on how the device is checked. And you can also use it to customize the grading metrics to actually correspond to your standards. So this is pretty cool, right? And again, outside of the grading, it will allow you to do functionality tests, do secure data erasure. So this can be a valuable asset for both your in-store trade-in operation, right? Because you can also use the pricing metrics from our software to determine the price of the phone based on the diagnostics and grading results. But you can also use it as a tool to enhance your warehouse performance and speed up and automate the testing and grading process. David, do you have maybe any thoughts or comments on that?
Yeah, sorry, we lost connection there for a second. I don't know what happened. Yeah, I was having a look at this unit. I really like it, actually. I do think it's going to be a massive advantage. The bit before we had our hiccup here, you were saying about you could grade a phone B one day, C the next, depending on your mood. It also from my point of view, from dealing with a customer, could be just to do with the situation that you're in at the time and how the customer is interacting with you.
Yeah.
So this will take all that out, and as I said, it will make it easier for the customer, because you're doing away with any doubts that the customer's going to have. Is this person not? Are they having a good day? Have we been interacting fine? Whereas you can just put it into the unit. Even you could have these in the shop to take off workload and have them in the corner. Customers can come in and just plunk it in, get their information on the screen. It will speed up the whole process. So yeah, no, I'm.
I think we've lost David again. David, do you hear us? Guys, while David is, David, you're back on.
You have me back. Yeah, it's going in and out. My apologies on that.
No worries. So as you said, again, this is a great tool to standardize, I guess, the processes across the organization, right, in terms both of functionality tests and grading, and for everyone thinking about, for example, launching a trading program. This can also be, a daunting task to train the employees on how they should grade the phone, how they should basically give a customer a price based on the device specs and based on the test results, based on the grading. So this can, do away with all the headaches related to the phone grading, because you're going to have the same standards, for example, across your chain of shops, not spend any money or time or resources on training your employees, because this machine will do all the heavy lifting for you. And of course, feel free to leave us a request to do an online demo, and also the pilots of the robot are available as well. We're going to be bringing it to MWC in Barcelona next year in February. So if you're going to be there, please also visit our booth, because we're going to exhibit and showcase it live there. And of course, if you're interested in considering right now, please feel free to contact us. And we have a few questions in the chat. Thanks everyone for sharing your questions. Please feel free to drop your questions in the chat while we're still live. So one of the questions here we have about the difference between the working in the US and expanding the business in Europe. David, do you maybe have any advice or maybe any tips on launching a recycling business in Europe? Maybe like if you were a new company thinking about getting started with the recycling business in Ireland in the new year, what would be your plans? What would you address?
The only thing I would look out for there would be model variations. That is purely it. Everything else is pretty much the same, but you just have to be wary that not just phones and laptops. There is a massive difference between laptops that are designed for the European market and for the US market. So that will be the only thing. Like if you were doing a recycling center where you wanted people to drop in units and you were going to refurbish and sell them, whether it be from America to Europe or Europe to America, you just need to check specs. Because they can be called the same thing, but they can have massively different specs. So that would be the only thing I would look at.
Great, interesting. We also have another question regarding business in the US and R2 certifications, stands for responsible recycling, and any advantages or drawbacks, or basically anything that a company thinking about getting an R2 certification should be aware of. David, do you have any thoughts on that we can share? our thoughts based on our experience interacting with customers as well.
None really, to be honest.
Okay.
That's a case-by-case basis, to be straight.
Mm-hmm.
There will be no two the same there. Anything I do give would just be my personal experience, so it's kind of not going to be relevant. Yeah, I can't really. That would be a very broad one.
Okay, no worries. Well, I can answer this from our experience that if you're thinking about getting an R2 certification, obviously the big advantage here is that you can be eligible for big auctions from big mobile carriers such as AT&T or T-Mobile or Verizon in the US, because you need to be R2 certified in order to access those these auctions, right? And this is one of the biggest advantages when it comes to R2, because you're able to get these devices on a pretty cheap price, and you're going to be able to either resell them or refurbish them or recycle them. But you're going to need to have an R2 certification to prove that you're able to either recycle and dispose of those devices in an environmentally friendly way, and that you possess tools that allow you to securely data erase the devices that you bought. And I would keep a look out on having a software provider that is certified and that is reliable, that is basically compliant with R2 guidelines, such as NSYS data erasure software, which is certified by this and compliant with R2. And obviously, since it's a certification, you also need to be wary of the budget that you would actually need to spend obtaining this certification. So that's my take on this question. Next, we have a couple of questions from Pablo regarding the speed of the machine and the onboarding process. So let me answer that. Regarding the speed of the machine, currently our productivity projection shows that it's possible to fully test, grade, and data web a phone in 4 minutes. Which translates to 12 to 15 devices per hour per machine. And if we're talking about big warehouse operations, what we recommend doing is to implement a robotic line of 4 to 5 robots, because one operator can easily handle 4 to 5 machines at the same time. And this will help you speed up the testing process and actually take it to 60, 70 phones per hour, while standardizing the process and eliminating the human error factor. So that's an answer to this question. Thanks everyone for your question. That's actually all the questions we have for now. David, maybe any final thoughts or comments before we wrap things up?
None from my end, I'm afraid.
Okay, no worries. Well, on that note, I would like to thank everyone for joining the webinar today. David, thanks a lot for joining us. Really appreciate your inputs and your insights.
No, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and wishing you and everyone who's listening happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, best of luck with business in 2024. And yeah, looking forward to connecting with all of you online or offline next year at the road shows. Thanks, guys. Thanks, David.
Thank you. Okay, see ya.
All right. Bye.